Let me ask the people's champ. Is this series result more Knicks dominance or Cleveland incompetence? Perhaps it's a bit of both, but we'll say the people's champ.
I think you got to give the majority of the credit to the Knicks.
Yeah, I don't disagree.
The Cavaliers are a flawed basketball team that I think if you just followed them, even once they made the Harden trade, there were things with that team that you could see could be exploited. Mm-hmm. And in 7-game series, if you run across a team with a capable coach and the counteraction,
sure,
in terms of what Cleveland likes to do, this was. I didn't think it would be a sweep. I think I might have picked the Knicks in 5.
Yeah.
But
I think I thought something like that too.
But the Knicks are bigger on the perimeter. So I kind of figure, a lot of that dancing around that Donovan and James likes to do, to kind of be curtailed a little bit or a lot, I should say, against a team like the Knicks. So I think you have to give the Knicks credit. I think Cleveland, much like the Pistons, were kind of a flawed product.
Sure.
When you're talking needing the necessary parts, pieces, and players to compete at a high level late in the playoffs.
Yep. Yeah, no, I concur. I think it's no accident. The Knicks have certainly been dominant. That said, we did see a number of flaws in the Kenny Atkinson strategy.
Oh, yeah.
And shout out to Mike Brown because, he did coach circles around Kenny Atkinson. For example, I'm all for leaving Josh Hart open from 3 and packing the paint. Lord knows that worked against Asar Thompson last series. And that's not to beat up on Asar too much, but this series it didn't. And when it's not working, you have to adjust. And Kenny Atkinson, much like Joe Mazzulla, is heavily influenced by analytics. Yeah. And analytics is fine for developing your strategy, but you still have to use your basketball intellect within the course of the game and the series to adjust.
Well, analytically, they got swept 4-3.
Yeah. Yeah. Josh Hart is a 35% three-point shooter on paper, which is just about league average, but he started making threes. So the strategy had to adjust. And actually, he shot about 41% from 3 this season, which, I was actually shocked to see that. But we know he's not a volume three-point shooter. Mm-hmm. And I think the strategy was to make him a volume three-point shooter. But, again, he started hitting threes. And, again, he only made 9 three-pointers in the series, but they were all timely, it seemed like. And Kenny Atkinson never really adjusted, and I'm willing to concede that he possibly did adjust, and none of it worked. So he saddled with 2 subpar perimeter defenders, mostly small, unathletic backups or unathletic backups in Sam Hauser and Dennis Schroeder. And even though I do hate hypotheticals, I will ask the people's champ, would the Pistons have been a better, more competitive matchup for the Knicks than the Cavaliers?
Gee, that's tough. I'm going to be a homer and show my team some love and say the Pistons may have got a game. For the simple fact, my thinking behind that would be either one of those teams coming off that 7-game series will be hard-pressed to beat this Knicks team the way they're clicking right now. Coupled with the way that we were kind of sputtering and piecemealing our offense, it would have been a different look, I think, than the regular season because I just think that the Knicks are playing a different brand of basketball, and we were playing a different brand of basketball simply because a lot of nights, I think, offensively, we were like 3-on-5 some nights.
Yeah.
So, I think we would probably, I think we would get a game because I just think defensively we are leaps and bounds better than Cleveland.
That's what I was going to say. So we the second best defensive team in the NBA.
But like I said, I just think the Knicks offensively when they turn it on, when they turn it on offensively, they can kind of hit you from a lot of different areas.
Yep.
And the Karl-Anthony Towns revelation has been just that. In terms of he's doing a lot of what got him recruited to Kentucky in terms of impacting the game where you may not necessarily see it in the numbers.
Sure, yeah, a lot of versatility.
Which was what I always thought was his best ability, as opposed to him probably thinking shooting like dirt.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, I definitely think the Pistons would have got a game, maybe two, but
Yeah.
I don't think they would have beat the Knicks.
Yeah, I mean, it's a game of matchups, and the Cavs are a bad matchup for us. I think we are a bad matchup for the Knicks. I agree with you, though. I don't know that necessarily translates to us beating the Knicks. I wouldn't take it that far, but I do think that we would have been a much better defensive matchup. Also, as bad as Jalen Duren was playing, we actually do have some historical context that he played fairly well against them last year. He averaged a double-double and shot 65% from the field. I think they're a better matchup because they only play one big at a time, whereas Orlando and Cleveland played multiple bigs at the same time. So, I do think that there would have been more room for him, but again, I'm not going to dive too deep into hypotheticals because I don't really like hypotheticals. That I leave that up to other people.
Right.
I do think that, we're a better matchup for the Knicks in that we would have definitely been a tougher matchup.
Yeah.
But the way that they're rolling right now, I don't think it's fair to come on and be like, man, we'd have beat the Knicks, man, flat out.
Right.
Like, no, the Knicks rolling right now. They playing at a different level. They playing a great brand of basketball. What you got, nephew?
No, it's just where you had a poll in the chat that asked what was the difference in the Eastern Conference Finals, Knicks dominance or Cavs incompetence, and everybody who's voted in the poll so far has said Knicks dominance.
Yeah, the Knicks are cooking right now, man. They have to be given their credit. I mean, you can't overlook the fact that Cleveland did. They did make some boneheaded decisions.
Oh, for sure.
But I don't know that any of that would have even mattered, man, because the Knicks are playing great right now, and you just got to give it up to them. Let me ask the people's champ, man. What chances do you give the Knicks to actually win the title this season?
A very good chance. About as good as chance that you could possibly have. I mean, here's the reason why.
Is it a toss-up, or are you favoring them against whoever?
I think it's a toss-up.
Yep, I do. I
think it's a toss-up.
I do too. Yeah, I'm going from they wouldn't be favored to I think it's a 50-50.
Bro, I went from a week ago that the winner of the Western Conference Finals getting the Larry O'Brien trophy to, okay, it'll be interesting.
Yeah.
Because before that, I was thinking, Lakers, Nets, 02, 03.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I had to take a step back and look at the totality of what the Knicks have been doing.
Sure.
For like the past month. And I started to kind of look at the potential matchup, and I'm like, well, let's see here. San Antonio, OKC, a lot of perimeter players that can they defend. Mm-hmm. They can get hot and shoot the ball from the perimeter. I'm like, well, the Knicks kind of do that too.
Yeah.
I like, but the Knicks in certain spots, maybe a little bigger or longer, pause.
Yeah, right.
And I said, So if they can kind of just hold the fort on that kind of matchup in terms of like the checklist, like if they can just kind of keep that respectable and, don't let, some of the guys that for OKC that kind of goes off when they start to go deep into their bench. Okay. And then you look at the 5 spot, or, where we're talking about Towns. This could be the time. This could be the complete righting of the ship in terms of his career.
Yeah.
You know, you look at the stage, you look at the franchise, you look at where he was drafted.
Sure.
And, you know, I mean, Minnesota basically took the franchise from him and handed it over to Ant-Man.
Yeah.
You look at some of his personal valleys that he's went through. You know, this could be, and he's been playing like maybe he realizes that too, to his credit. Because I've been hard on Karl-Anthony Towns for north of 10 years.
Me too.
So I will be the first to give him his props. So I look at that and like, I mean, Ant could outplay a Hartenstein and a Chet, and could, you know, play a Wemby to close to a standstill because he can bring him outside,
Sure,
and keep him out the
he
paint.
can pull him out the paint. Yeah.
You know, I'm like, okay, there's that. And then the last part that made me really think that they have a shot is how the Knicks have been winning and how it can benefit them now that they're in the finals.
Yep.
Having that rest now really matters.
Yeah, I put that down too.
To be able to sweep the previous round and then sweep this round.
Yep.
And when you have guys like an OG who's nicked up, and Brunson who's nicked up.
Yep.
And that cumulative type of rest that you may need if this thing goes 6 or 7. Or maybe in a swing game 3 or 5 where you may just have to dig for something to stop the dam from breaking, and it ain't there.
Yep.
So I think like the way the Knicks have performed, this may come back to help them.
Yeah.
In a final series. So I think it's a toss-up. And another thing that I wanted to add before I forget, I'm not going to go jump off a cliff and say he should never coach again. But can we please keep Tom Thibodeau out of the coaching carousel for a couple years?
Yeah.
Like for a little bit. Let him get some TV money because I think the Knicks are still paying him.
Yeah.
But like this, because if this isn't proof that maybe if you can just step outside of yourself, and like you say, you know, just do a little change in the philosophy.
Yep.
You get what I'm saying? And we can kind of see it night and day because the roster is pretty much the same.
Yeah. I mean, you know, I was down on Tom Thibodeau.
And we've both been down on Mike Brown at times.
Yeah. Yep.
But Mike Brown looks like he's been taking kibbles and bits from the places he's been.
Yep.
And learning lessons and taking notes.
Yeah.
And here we are.
I'm documented on this show saying that Tom Thibodeau's not raising any trophies. I'm like, he's not going to lift any trophies anywhere because he's just too stuck in his ways. What you got, nephew?
I just want to add on to the fact that for the Knicks, their best player and probably their third best player have been in this foxhole going back 10 years.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Add Josh Harden to the equation, now it becomes 8 years.
Yep.
So I think this is different from typical first final appearances teams.
Yeah.
Because you have a good chunk of your core who's been through the fire with each other before. And so I think that's why I've kind of that, and just to add that on to the fact of what Lance was saying, I think that's why I believe that the Knicks do have a chance.
Oh yeah,
in the finals.
Yeah,
I am pulling for them because I think if they do somehow end up winning, we're probably gonna get some of the greatest content to ever hit the internet.
Oh my Lord, have mercy! I think to your point, nephew, that what your point will really show itself if they end up playing San Antonio.
The 99 rematch.
Simply for the simple fact that, Brunson and Bridges, they may not have won an NBA championship, but being able to win multiple college championships, and you could throw Towns in that mix as well.
Yep.
Most people that take the PSAT perform better on the real thing than ones that don't.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So if you take that and that experience factor and you put it up against a San Antonio where maybe a lot of their players, this is like totally uncharted water outside of maybe like, a Castle and a Wemby when you're talking international stage and Castle collegially, it can play itself out.
Yeah, so.
And the final thing I just want to add, and I don't really, because I want to keep this on the Knicks while we're talking about them, but
Yeah.
a good friend Ty basically saying the Knicks don't have a chance. We'll get to that later.
So listen, I'm glad that you mentioned that before I started with my commentary because, I'm torn a little bit. So I agree with everything both of y'all said. The makeup of the team is interesting for a couple of reasons. Because on the one hand, they have been dominant. But to Ty's point, and I don't want to speak for Ty, but my feeling is that the finals is going to be a massive step up in competition, though. There's no getting around it. This is not Atlanta, Philadelphia, or Cleveland that they're going to be playing. And no matter who comes out of the West, there's going to be a massive – it's either going to be the first or fourth best defensive team in basketball. That's number one. Mm-hmm. So the step up defensively is going to be massive. They're not going to be, hammering whoever they play 35-9 in fast break points. And again, and I'm not trying to take away anything that they've done. So in psychology, there's something called the proximity standard, right? And that's essentially says that competitors push harder when they are closer to beating or achieving a top tier benchmark. So it definitely could go that way, where they feel like they're close and they play even better with this step up in competition, right?
0-4.
But then there's the diamond effect, right? That illustrates that competitors stagnate in easy environments and that facing elite rivals exposes that competitors' exact weaknesses. And that could also happen, that when they take this massive step up in competition, all of the weaknesses will show all at once because they're just going to be playing so much of a better team. The difference between Cleveland and OKC or San Antonio is just it's night and day.
I agree.
You know what I'm saying? Just the level of competitiveness, the level of athleticism on the wing. It's going to be so much more difficult. And also, I'll just throw in one of my theories because I briefly touched on this last week, is that if the Knicks win the championship, they will definitely be the first team in our lifetime to win the championship without a draft pick in the starting five. And I could run through the entire history of draft. If starting in 1980, Magic, then Bird, then Magic, then Andrew Toney was 1983. Then it was Bird again, then Magic, then Bird, then Magic, then Magic, then Isaiah, then Isaiah. Then it was Jordan, Hakeem, Jordan, Duncan. Then it was Kobe. Then it was Duncan. Then it was Tayshaun Prince. Then it was Duncan. Then it was Wade. Then it was Duncan. Then it was Paul Pierce. Then it was Kobe. Then it was Dirk Nowitzki. Then it was Dwayne Wade. Then it was Duncan again. Then it was Wardell, Stephen Curry. Then it was Kyrie Irving. Then it was Wardell, Stephen Curry, Pascal Siakam, Kyle Kuzma, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Wardell again, Jokic and Murray. Then it was Tatum and Brown. Then it was Jalen Williams and Chet Holmgren. That's the entire history from 1980 to 2025.
So we just going to skip a name for 2016?
I said Kyrie Irving. That was 2016. That's Kyrie. But no, LeBron was technically a free agent because he was going back. So I'm giving an actual draft pick though. Kyrie was their actual draft pick.
Okay.
I'm not gonna skip. Yeah, I'm not skipping LeBron for that reason. I'm just skipping because LeBron was actually a free agent signing. So yes, that's why I said Kyrie Irving. But every single team from 1980 until 2025 has had a draft pick in the starting five that has won a championship. And because I'm not that familiar with the champions of the 1970s, I would venture to guess it's probably ever, but I'm not that familiar with the champions of the 1970s. So, but that I just did my lifetime, 1980, and I was born in 81 actually, but 1980 until 2025. So that would make them wholly unique in that way.
Yeah.
Because you've always needed drafted talent. But I digress. So we'll revisit that more because I think with that much history, there's got to be something to that.
Yeah.
Which is another reason why I think they'll probably be a slight underdog.
Yeah, I think they'll be an underdog, but I think this final has gone from being a laugher,
Correct.
which I think we thought going into it, to nah, man, this thing. I think this thing can go the distance.
We agree on that 100%.
So Ty, I think your first point, I think that's what Ty was getting at. And then Rob also checking in the chat. He says that's the one thing about the Knicks winning that I do like to see. People get so stuck on narratives that they completely disregard the possibility of growth and improvement, like Mike Brown and Cat.
Yep, most definitely. Yeah, no, they both deserve their kudos and they deserve their flowers because, yeah, Mike Brown he's definitely done what he was supposed to do in coming there, which was get them over the hump in the playoffs. A lot of people were complaining about the regular season and saying, well, they took a step back in the regular season. Well, whatever they did in the regular season, what he was brought there to do was get them to the mountaintop in the postseason. Yep. So he's definitely checking that box.